Thank you for calling Roadside Assistance. Please hold. All our operators are currently busy at the moment. Welcome back to Gran Turismo. Today's episode is going to be slightly different. I also thought I'd start off today's episode by giving my Skyline a quick car wash and showing off that feature. Not that it does anything other than restores the car's shine and glossy look. It doesn't restore any performance loss or anything like that. It literally just restores the visual representation of the car. I'm also going to look into just adding a few minor little upgrades to the Skyline before we head on into the all-night 2 race. 30 laps around special stage Route 11 reverse, which I've only done a few laps on the reverse, and as we found out in previous episodes, I'm not very good around this circuit, so it's safe to say this race goes about as well as expected. Got pole by a surprising amount. Got a nice amount of bonus credits there at least. So, let's head into the race. So, unfortunately, I can only do replay footage for the first 10 laps because that's just the way the original Gran Turismo works. You get first 10-ish laps of replays of a race, and then it just goes back to the main menu sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is run the entire race up until that point in replay cam, and then we'll just be using the gameplay footage from then on. I'm also not going to be showing the whole race, obviously. There's no point in making an hour-long video. So I'm going to commentate the whole thing and then just cut out and edit all of the boring, quiet bits where I'm talking gibberish, not making any sense, or just being silent for no reason. On this opening lap, we are having a nice, good battle with the Supra. Everyone else seems to have disappeared. However, the Supra decides to just stop in the middle of nowhere and reverse in the middle of the racetrack for literally no reason. Which left me with an absolute massive gap, but the want to make this race entertaining. So, halfway down this straight at the end of the first lap, I think I'm about 10 seconds ahead, so I've decided to just stop and then start accelerating again, and I get a little boost from the other Skyline to give me a bit of an acceleration boost. Now there's 4 of us battling for the lead, which is much more entertaining than just me on my own. Will that decision come back to bite me in the butt though? Having a nice battle early on. Nice move up the inside of the Impreza there. Not the Impreza, the Evo, sorry. He tried coming back, but I managed to stick it around the outside still. Heading through the chicane, and that's wall hit number 1 on lap 2. It was only a matter of time before I messed that corner up. Spoiler alert, it won't be the last. Heading into lap 3. word. That Evo had a big moment there, didn't it? It's now all about just trying to hunt down the Supra, which I'm managing to catch him. Right, can we make it through here this time without hitting the wall? Yep, just about. And towards the end of the lap now. And hairpin into the right-left chicane. Well, not really a chicane, it's more of a right and then a left to 90-degree corners. Typical style for a street circuit. We're now right up behind the Supra. Well, we were. We've obviously lost a bit of time through that last corner. There we go. Let's fight with the Supra now. Trying to go around the outside, which gives us the inside for the left-hander in the tunnel. His acceleration out of there is really, really good. So he's straight back next to us. Just able to stay ahead, but I've then hit the wall, so he's probably going to fight back, heading into my least favourite corner on the track. Made it round this time at least. And it doesn't look like the Supra has. I guess it was the Supra's turn to hit the wall, which has given us another big gap. I don't believe I decide to stop this time. I'm just going to carry on going, because at this point I think I realised that I was going to be on a different pit stop strategy to everyone else, because pit stops are finally a thing in Gran Turismo on this race, in this episode. Tyre wear is on. Tyre management was not really in full flow. It should have been, but it wasn't. I was too busy sliding everywhere and getting annoyed with myself for crashing into walls, which also doesn't help the tyre wear, because your tyres are still doing 100 miles an hour and the car's doing nothing. However, this endurance race style does give me a good opportunity to talk about the channel rather than just this game, because obviously right now this is the first series on the channel and it is a racing game. However, I'm not just going to be a Gran Turismo channel or a racing game channel. My next 2, maybe 3 series are going to be completely different, on different consoles, different eras. I just want to get a few series in that are just prove that I'm a retro gaming channel, not racing game or simulator. However, racing games and racing simulators are a big part of my gaming history, so there will be quite a few of them eventually. I'm not going to give away what my next series is just yet, but it's a massive, massive franchise that everyone knows. Everyone that's played it loves it, and most people have played it. There we are. That is the end of the replay footage, unfortunately. On to lap 10, so not quite the full 10 laps. It was more of 9 and a bit, really. Maybe it's just 18 minutes you get, I'm not entirely sure. But for the rest of this race, we will be just using gameplay footage and me not being able to drive, apparently. Now at this point, the Supra has already pit. It got up quite close behind me because I kept on making silly mistakes, and then it then pit. I've now lost out to the next car, which I believe is an RX-7. Yes, RX-7. Again, not driving particularly well at the moment. Keep making silly mistakes, not just at the chicane, but everywhere else as well. The RX-7 has come in on the end of lap 10. Now in 30 lap races, the most obvious pit stop strategy is on lap 10, then on lap 20. However, I like my final stint to be the shortest for the tyres, so I can push a little bit more. So I tend to do lap 11, then lap 21. So I do 3 stints at 11 laps, 10 laps, then 9 laps. Just breaks it up a little bit different. You have a little bit more leeway then. Whereas the Supra has pit on lap 9. So unless he does basically the reverse of what I do, he'll be hitting for a 3rd time near the end of the race, which is not ideal for the AI, but they tend to do that on early Gran Turismo. I think they carried on doing that all the way up until Gran Turismo 4. I'm not sure about endurance races on 5. Didn't really play that one too much. By then I was busy playing Forza Motorsport on Xbox 360s. As you can see, my rear tyres are basically gone now. I've forgotten how to brake. And my lap times are really suffering because of it. I'm currently doing 10 seconds a lap slower than my best. However, all these errors and also pitting later is making the race actually interesting rather than just me running away at the front. Quick tyre change. There's no fuel on this one, so don't have to refuel or anything. And there we are. Back down to 3rd because they've had a really good outlap, or few outlaps for the Supra. Let's race on. The hunted has become the hunter. I don't know what my driving style was like at this point. I'm braking and then turning rather than braking in a straight line, which is why I'm sliding so much. I wasn't having a very good day with my controller apparently. But these early Gran Turismo, you didn't have to be ultra precise like you do on modern racing games and simulators. It's also a lot easier now with steering wheels, and if you are using a controller you can use a thumbstick rather than the directional pad. Not entirely sure whether this one does have the analog support. I do have the analog controller. However, playing these growing up, I was always a D-pad user. I didn't start using thumbsticks until I had an Xbox, and even then it took me about a year to get used to using a thumbstick over a D-pad. Ooh, into the wall. Yet again. We've already lapped the poor Civic, look. It's only lap 13, and he's already a lap behind. And, yeah, there we go. Straight into a wall again. Ugh. That's out 4, maybe 5 in 13 that I've hit that wall. Just trying to back up to the Supra now. I'll certainly make it harder than it needs to be. Parked on the apex there again. I'm sure a Supra did that to me in a previous race. Can we make it through this chicane on lap 14? No, we cannot. Oh, not the worst, but still lost a lot of time. Back down into second. As I said earlier, these constant wall hits and slides are not helpful for... Whoa! What is that Supra doing? You're not playing Need for Speed, sir. There's no need to go jumping over things. Anyway, as I was saying, the tyre situation, I should be utilising the grip that I've got, but instead I'm just sliding everywhere and crashing into walls and killing the tyres that I've got, even though they're brand new. Been broken into the first corner by the Supra, turned into a wall, and again. Right, start of lap 18, the Supra should be... Wow, I've just been rammed straight into a wall. Excellent. What I was going to say is that the Supra should be pitting at the end of this lap, but at the beginning of this lap, he's decided to cause absolute carnage and rage by throwing me into a wall. That was not very nice. Right, I've got my work cut out for me now. Try and close down this gap again. Thankfully, at this point, I'm absolutely certain that he will be doing one more stop than I am. The only thing that's keeping me sane and not completely outraged. Right, yep, there he goes. He's in the pits. I've got 3 laps before I pit now. I'll be pitting at the end of lap 21. The RX-7 should be pitting at the end of the next lap. As we saw at the last stint, they gain a lot of time on their out laps over my in laps. with their fresh tyres. So I need to really concentrate on these next few laps so that I don't lose as much time as possible. It's difficult when we're going into a corner that causes me nervousness every single lap. Problem is, I quite like the corner. I'm just not very good at it. So I am slightly glad that they changed the layout in Gran Turismo 2 so that it wasn't present. The track kind of loses a little bit of its character because it's shorter as well, but getting rid of a corner like that really helps me at least. Gran Turismo 2 will be the next Gran Turismo game that I feature. It won't be the next game or even the next racing game, but I will do each game in series as well as I can. So I'll do Gran Turismo 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then any other series that I do, I'll do from 1 to wherever. There are a couple of exceptions with that. One of which, when I eventually get round to doing Assassin's Creed, I'm not going to do the first one because it's kind of repetitive and boring. You're much better off watching a YouTube video doing it, which I'm not going to be. There's plenty out there, so I'm not going to create another YouTube video of just the important cutscene bits. So I'll just be going straight into Assassin's Creed 2 and doing the Ezio trilogy. Right, coming to the end of lap 20 now, so the RX-7 should be pitting in at the end of this lap. If he carries on doing the 10 laps, then 10 laps. However, looking at the minimap, he has not. Hopefully he pits at the end of this lap alongside me. Although, if he doesn't, that means I should be able to jump him with the fresher tyres. If he does carry on for an extra lap after this one, I'm definitely not going to. My tyres are much better than what they were at the end of my previous stint. They're not quite orange yet, but I am certainly feeling the grip difference. I've also made a few mistakes in the last couple of laps, which is why I've no longer got a gap over the RX-7. Here we are, end of lap 21, coming into the pits. Does the RX-7 follow me? Looking at, I can't really see him behind, but he's not gone flying past, so he must be. Yep, there he is. Supra's also gone through. Quick tyre change, and we're off. So, I've now got 9 laps to hunt down this Supra and overtake it, or hope that he pits in 5 laps time. Because he did pit on lap 9 and then 18, so he should be pitting on lap 27 if he carries on in that vein. However, I've decided to completely mess up that corner. No idea which way I'm going. There goes the RX-7, down to 3rd. And I've just undone a lot of the hard work. Back up behind the RX-7 here. He's tried to park on the apex and I've just somehow managed to get around the outside of him. I have then hit the inside of the wall of the second part of the corner, but back up to the second. Okay, heading into the infamous corner, and I've decided to just not turn. Excellent. Now, I was contemplating just quitting here and starting again, but the RX-7 hitting me there, making me face the right way, knowing full well that the Supra definitely has to pit again. Well, assuming that the Supra should have to pit again at this point. I've decided to carry on because I should be able to catch the RX-7 and then overtake the Supra when he pits, and then hopefully hold on until the end. That's the plan anyway. Let's see if that actually comes to fruition. Okay, end of lap 27, and the Supra is in the pits. Thank the Lord for that, because I was not catching him. Right, got 3 laps to hold on here. Can we actually do it? I don't have a particularly big gap over the RX-7. Big enough, but it's certainly not comfortable. This has been a pretty chaotic race. I've not driven particularly well. Certainly made it harder than it needed to be. But I guess that's what makes it entertaining. Hopefully. You guys tell me whether it's entertaining or not. I hope it is. I'm being extra cautious around that corner every single lap now. I would rather lose 2 seconds than 10 seconds. Which is probably the mentality that I should have had all along. I've set 2 pretty good and consistent lap times in the last couple of laps. Low to mid 154s. 2 seconds off my fastest, but that is perfectly fine. I'd rather set 1 minute 54s than 2 minute 4s. Heading into the last braking point now. The final corner is just an acceleration zone. Up the hill. Heading on to the penultimate lap. Again, 157, that's perfectly fine. I didn't really lose any time to the RX-7 behind. The Supra is still only just halfway down the start-finish straight. So 157 is perfectly fine for me. I just need to not hit the wall. But the nerves were certainly playing their part at this point. I think, watching this footage back, I think I need to lower the rear brake pressure. I seem to be locking up the brakes, which is then just steering me into or out of the corner more than it needs to. Okay, heading into the last little bit of the penultimate lap. Luckily we've not hit the wall again this lap. Just one more lap where hopefully we don't hit it. That's what I'm telling myself at this point. Right, one more lap. One chance to make sure that I do not hit that wall or any other silly errors that's going to cost me this win. That was a silly error, but thankfully it goes unpunished because I did have a big enough gap. The Supra has not really flown up behind the RX-7 as much as I thought it would have, which certainly helps me at this point. A bit of a wide line there. I don't mind the wide on the first part because it does tighten and it opens up the angle for the second part, but I'd rather hit the apex there than go flying around the outside of it. But never mind. Okay, heading down into that corner now. Do we miss or hit the wall? Place your bets now. Oh, very close. Nearly had it. Just got through it. But that's not race over yet. There's still a couple of other places where I can completely mess up. Here's one. And don't usually make errors at this hairpin. And I didn't again on this particular occasion. Being very tentative now. Braking early, making sure I'm braking in a straight line. This corner's really fun. The AI is quite slow around there, so that also helps. Heading into this one. Slight tap on the wall at the exit. Have a quick look back. Doesn't make a difference. And we have won a race that we certainly deserve to, given our pace advantage over the AI, but we definitely made it far more difficult than what it needed to be. 3 seconds that could have easily have been 30 seconds probably. Nice credit bonus of 150,000. Brings us up to 600,000 credits, which is nice going forward. We also did manage to get a new car, which is the amazing Nismo GTR LM edition, which is a rear-wheel drive Skyline again, rather than a four-wheel drive. But this thing is utterly sensational. It looks fantastic. It's also the car in the opening movie, the one that's on the lorry. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. Like I said, we'll be heading into the racing car championships next. I believe it's going to be the Japan versus US race first, or it could be Japan versus UK. It will be one of those two championships first in the next episode.